And in my judgment, everybody should know the fifth law of helpership. Everybody should know all the laws of helpership, you know? Really, I mean, if you're going into this relationship and you're paying all kinds of money and you're, you're driving there, you're setting aside the time, you're making this a priority, you should know, I want to know, let's put it that way, the framework that the guide established for this. And the fifth law of helpership basically says don't assume. Alright, you might think you've got a really good hit. You might be really convinced that lecture 135 is, this person's got to know about lecture 135 right now because that's what they're talking about. But it's possible that really lecture 135 is something that you as the helper could maybe use to ponder and contemplate, because there's something about what's being presented that's winging this up for you. And so, maybe there's some work or some growth in that for you. But maybe if we give, if we give the worker some time to kind of lay the story out and put it out on the table, maybe there's a piece there that sheds a whole different light on everything once the whole kind of framework of what something about is revealed. There's an unexpected piece. Oh my God, that's part of this? Aha. And if we don't give ourselves time, ourselves being the helper and the worker really, if we don't give ourselves time to let the story emerge and to let the pieces surface, then there's going to be, jumping at things and interpreting, which sometimes is going to be true and sometimes is not going to be quite so true. And, the selfish helper doesn't mind assuming, okay, because I am everything and I know everything. And the other benefit that the self-centered helper is taking out of this is that now that I have defined your problem as something that I have some juice about and that I'm interested in exciting and talking about, now I get a chance to kind of shift the energetic focus of the session over to me, and I can sort of expound, and I can take this and run with it. And really, secretly, I'm kind of doing my own work now. I may or may not be acknowledging it to myself, probably not, but I'm really now processing what your story means to me for myself, instead of really helping you to find what the key is, and then offering you, the knowledge that you might be missing. I might say to you, have you read lecture 101? Because I'm getting a feeling that there's a real connection in that for you. And if you say no, okay, maybe I'll spend 2 minutes summarizing it, but I'm not going to spend 20 minutes summarizing it, because if I do that, then I'm not respecting your ability to go home and read it and educate yourself. I'm kind of coming from a dependency point of view, where what you know about Pathwork, you have to find out from me. So of course there's a judgment call, because there might be something really important, and if I don't tell you anything about it, I might not be able to help you about it. But it can go too far. It can turn into me, the helper, taking center stage and doing this brilliant exposition of a particular lecture in a way that really doesn't serve this person, especially doesn't serve their energy. When energy wants to move, having somebody then become passive while you take over and explain and expound and so forth can be a real deadening experience for this person, which brings in another piece. The self-centered helper is, the unitive helper is going to check in regularly. As a matter of fact, systematically. The unitive helper is gonna, every single time we get together, it's gonna say, so, how are you feeling about being in session? You feel alright about everything we talked about last time? Is there anything you need to clear with me before we move forward? Because the unitive helper is not proud, and the unitive helper understands that if there's a hang-up, it serves the growth of the worker and it serves the relationship to get it out on the table. All right? The self-centered helper will avoid getting real feedback. Okay? Instead, what the self-centered helper will perhaps do is give praise, which of course then supports dependency, okay? Because it takes the worker back to a child place. All right. Basically, if you're familiar with transactional analysis at all, you know you've got the parent, you've got the adult, you've got the child in both people, and you know the healthy relationship. And I maintain that this is the healthy relationship in a helper relation as well. That this is the foundation of the healthy helper-worker relationship, is adult to adult. When it turns into parent to child, it gets really complicated. And the wise helper would be careful about inviting the worker into childhood, which is what giving praise. I'm not saying don't give recognition. I'm not saying don't say, wow, I'm really moved by that piece of work you did. That was really courageous. That's awesome. Or can I give you some feedback? I just see a lot of integrity in what you just did. That's fine, but there's something beyond that, which is a kind of a stroking process, which does bring the worker down into child and into depending on mommy and daddy to get that, and being good for mommy and daddy to get that. And the expectation will be that there will be a getting of praise or admiration, let's say. Admiration, okay? This is the sort of bargain that the unconscious, self-conscious helper will make with the worker. I'll say all kinds of nice things about you. You in exchange will, you know, worship me might be taken a little bit too far, but you'll enshrine me as the benevolent parent figure, and you will admire me, and that will give me a stroke. And now I will feel good about myself, and that will help me because deep down in my heart, I know I'm doing some of these things. And I don't feel good about myself because I am doing some of these things. So if I can keep you in a child place and if you can admire me, that'll balance that out a little bit, okay? The unitive helper is going to check in all the time, every single session. So how are we doing? What's going on? You holding anything? Is there something, anything about where we've been so far that doesn't feel right? And we'll tolerate hearing, yeah, I think you really steered me wrong last time. I think you went off on a whole thing that was not really relevant, and I wish I had interrupted you, but I didn't, so that's my issue, but still, I want you to be aware, or, you know, whatever it might be.